Cauthon's going to be blue, and Orb will always be red. Alright, Sean, we're here on our first map, Lost Temple. Cauthon Luck versus Orb, TVP, and you just actually ended up casting a ZVZ, so I'm sure you're really excited to see something a little bit different.
No Zergs in the game at all.
Thank God. So, this is going to be the first week that we've actually seen Cauthon play something else besides TVZ, and I'm really excited to see how he handles some of these other matchups. TVP, what do you know about this matchup?
Now, this is something that's undergone a lot of changes as of late, and I think it's very significant, the fact that we have Orb as the Protoss here and not just a regular other Protoss. Let me first talk about that. Orb has been streaming his games on TeamLiquid.net a lot, and he is one of the few players who just has started massing tons and tons of sentries. We see Orb spawning at the bottom as the red Protoss, and at the right of the map, we see Cauthon Luck as the blue Terran. Orb masses sentries because he noticed that Protoss has a very common tendency to build up a lot of gas in the early game stages. So he uses a lot of those sentries just as a general mix in his army. But coming back to some of the recent changes in Terran versus Protoss, a lot of Protosses have begun doing the most obnoxious stuff with those force fields. For instance, rushing with 4 warp gates and then endlessly force fielding the bottom of Terran's ramp, so Terran can never leave his base. Literally endlessly, because if you have like 7 or 8 sentries, it's impossible for you to run out of energy, so a lot of cool things that could potentially happen already in this match.
Right, now one of the things we do see is Orb placing his pylon next to his Nexus instead of at that choke. Do you think this is possibly to kind of get away from, or try to to repel those Reapers that Terrans sometimes like to do in the TVP matchup?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the most significant things to note, that everyone always says in different matchups, you have to do different things. That's how you know immediately if someone's ever played, RTS games for a while. But a lot of people still stick to a lot of the similar patterns between matchups that they shouldn't. Building that gateway at the ramp, great against Protosses and Zergs because you can wall it off a little bit more easily. But against Terrans, you want to pull it back so you don't lose to any range units at the ramp, and so you have a smaller area to cover against that ever so popular Reaper harass.
Right, we do see each player kind of doing the standard build. The Orb, the Protoss player Orb is getting that gas right after the gateway. We should see a second pylon. There's the second pylon, and then a cybernetics core as soon as that gateway finishes, with another Vespene gas going up about halfway through that cybernetics core. Going back over to Cauthon Luck's base, that Rax is now finished. He's going to spawn a Marine out. This is something that we saw Cauthon do a lot versus Zerg. He usually spawns 2 Marines and sends that first SCV over, sometimes sending those 2 Marines as well. Do you think that is a viable strat to do in TVP?
I do indeed. I think, in fact, in every matchup, this is one of the most standard things that you will see Terran players do early on. They just get a few Marines and look at this, trying to shoot down the probe. Oh, look at that nice micro by Cauthon Luck, chasing that probe down the ramp. See you later, probe. We're not going to get too much information there. And the reason that we love getting those early Marines right after that orbital command is because this setup can lead into anything. There can be factories coming up next. There can be tech labs coming up next. You generally don't quite know. However, I do think that Cauthon Luck betrayed his intentions just a little bit. That placement of the barracks leaves just enough room for a tech lab and a supply depot to wall it off. So we do see there's a supply depot going down. Would not be surprised to see a tech lab also popping off on that barracks almost immediately here. Again, that placement of that barracks really reveals a lot to Orb. So Orb having a pretty good sense of what's going on already.
We do see a robotics facility going down now for Orb, and also that second assimilator going down. He still is not researching warp gates. I guess he's going to wait until he actually has 50 gas to research it after dropping down that robotics facility. Now, Colossus and Immortals, I think, are something you're definitely going to see in the TVP matchup, and probably most likely in this game as well, as he is getting that robotics facility. But hopefully he's going to be sending that early observer out as soon as that robotics facility finishes. You might even see him chrono boosted to get out there and see what's inside of Cauthon Luck's base, because right now he's really low in the intelligence field.
Yeah, and look, Cauthon Luck doing the classic Cauthon Luck, I guess I'd say, throwing the starport down might end up seeing some sort of fast Banshee build, might be getting a medevac for some early harass. Probably going to steer away from the medevac harassment at this early stage. Yes, there is the tech lab going down for the factory. And Cauthon Luxy, look at the front of his base, using that tech lab already for the wall off. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, helps betray the information. That placement betrays the fact that he's getting that tech lab so quickly. So Orb already has a good sense of that. And look at that nice reaction by Orb retreating with that Zealot. And we do see an Immortal coming out nice and fast and early.
Yeah, it looks like he was a little bit scared when Cauthon jumped out of his base right there with that Marauder and 2 Marines, so he ended up getting the Immortal. Still getting another Mortar. I wonder why he's not going to be getting that Observer to get a little bit of more intelligence or more intel from Cauthon Lux's base. But going back over into Cauthon Lux's base, he still has not researched that concussive shells, the newest thing in patch 8 of StarCraft 2, that actually allows Marauders to use that slowing ability that they have had inherently since the game is actually launched in beta. Do you think that we're going to be seeing Cauthon Lux research that anytime soon?
It looks like he's pretty much investing heavily in the Banshees right now, starting to get a little bit of stockpile, but look at this. Here comes Orb with his first push of Immortals, 1 Zealot, and 1 Stalker, and that Banshee is going to come out just in time to defend it. If there is any sort of Stalkers coming out, there's the Observer. This big push right now with the Immortals can generally do a pretty serious amount of damage, and it looks like Orb, it looks like he's wandering these 2 Immortals up left to this top left gold mineral patch, so these Immortals are actually going to dodge the threat of dying to this Banshee early on. This is actually how fortuitous for our friend Immortal that he's not going to end up running his Immortals directly into that. There's the Observer popping out right now. Looks like Orb's going to be in for a good surprise. The Banshee's going to get to his base and start killing off probes right when the Observer says, maybe Banshees could be coming. Look, he's seeing the starport right there.
One thing to note is actually Orb is now actually building a Warp Prism. It's about to come out, and those 2 Immortals are actually up there killing that high yield. We might see an Immortal drop there in Cauthon Lux base, but going back over to Orb's base, we do see that Banshee now with 2 probe kills, now 3. There's really nothing he can do. He's going to be chrono boosting that Stalker and trying to get it out there as fast as possible to get rid of that Banshee. We do see 3 Stalkers now inside of Orb's base, and that Banshee is up to 8 kills, possibly a 9th kill if he can get one more hit. There it is, the 9th kill. He's going to be able to get out there with about half HP, or about 90 HP, on that Banshee. We do see that Warp Prism actually going straight towards those 2 Immortals there at the upper high yield. We do see him put him into the Warp Prism and head straight towards Cauthon Lux's base. So we're going to kind of see another little counter harassment here from Orb with those 2 Immortals.
And this sort of harassment that we do see Cauthon Lux doing right now is exactly the reasons players love getting out an Observer before the Immortal sometimes, or after 1 Immortal. Those Zealots, oh my god, wait, look at this. We do have a tech lab getting taken out by some Immortals in the base of Cauthon Lux, or backing up, but look how many Marines Cauthon Lux has been making. Going to be repelling all that. We do have Stim going down there, so it looks like it's going to do the classic 1-2 punch, harassment with air, followed by a big attack at the front, and oh no, look at the Banshee in the bottom left. 13 kills. 14, 15, oh god.
We do see another Banshee now at the natural expansion of Orb, now with 3 kills of his own. He's going to be hitting that Nexus, going to be getting it. Actually, all of his shield's almost gone. Actually, he's just going to go and focus that probe there, killing that extra pylon. We do see that other Banshee with 21 kills now inside of Orb's main, getting repelled by those goons. Going back over into Cauthon Lux base, we do see that starport going to be building Vikings now, because of course the tech lab was taken out by those 2 Immortals and the Warp Prism. The Warp Prism is still kind of poking around, seeing if there's anything he can kind of do to harass Cauthon Lux a little bit more. He's going to go up towards the ramp a little bit, sees that there's a little bit too much to handle right there, and kind of backs off. Interested to see what Orb is trying to do with these 2 Immortals right here.
Yeah, he's going to try to do as much damage as he can, but when that Viking comes out, the fun is done, and Orb clearly shaken up a little bit. Go to Orb's main and click on this Nexus. It is rallied to the far top right corner of the entire map. So we do have like 2 probes, just 3 probes marching their way all the way to the north. And Orb realizes it, gives a wow, whoopsie daisies. Going to be returning those ones back home, and is now chrono boosting his Nexus as much as possible to try to get out a reasonable economy and maybe get back into this game.
One thing to note is that Banshee there in the middle of the map did end up taking out one of those probes that Orb had rallied to the top of the map, ending up with 22 kills. Now going back over to this Warp, he does drop those 2 Immortals with that Viking getting it. Killing that Warp Prism, we do see those 2 Immortals now going back towards the base of Orb. Now, Orb's kind of in a sticky situation right here. He's a little bit low on the unit count, and we do see a huge group of Marine Marauders and 1 medevac heading straight towards Orb's base right now.
I mean, this is classic what I call the 1-2 punch. You do one move that weakens the opponent, and then you come in with a big follow-up army. In StarCraft, One, it was Mutalisks straight into a big Hydralisk push, was the standard play for Zerg. Here we have Terran doing Banshee Harass, we're right into a big Marine Marauder push. And, looking back in Cauthon Luck's main, look at this, very little money. He has researched both the Stim and the Concussive Shells, so Marauders are even stronger. No expansion coming up anytime soon, just a straight-up big all-in attack right now, and it looks like it's going to work. Oh, look at those Banshees dealing so much damage to those Immortals. The Stim... Uh-oh. Oh, the Concussive Shell hurting so much. That expansion is going to fall immediately. And that's going to be all she wrote for Orb. Oh, there's a nice little sentry use, but only going to delay the inevitable.
Yeah, Orb's trying to repel most of that attack, but I don't think he's going to be able to. If he can maybe get a little bit more sentries out, he might be able to live a little bit longer, but that natural expansion is done. He's going to start falling really quickly here to that stem pack. He's going to say GG and leave the game with that Hero Banshee, ending the game with 25 kills. End up getting repaired. Just what a little strong Banshee there. It was almost like it was a Warcraft 3 hero unit or something.
Seriously. That's always one of my favorite things, is to see one of those units. It's kind of weak, it's kind of flimsy, it has a lot of mobility to it, and it ends up with like some double-digit kill count, and it ends up pretty much secure in the Vic. And of those 25 kills, I think 23 of them were probes, so completely wrecking the economy of Orb. I mean, that really goes to show how a lot of these little cutesy tactics can be made all the more stronger with good control. Cauthon Luck controlled that Banshee beautifully, doing the scoot and shoot, moving that Banshee around at all the right angles in order to maximize its effectiveness in that early game.
All right, so we'll be back really quickly with our second map in the MLG Showcase Series, Steps of War.